From Northwest Community Schools, strength and conditioning coach and wellness coordinator, Corey McEldowney. Hi, Corey.
Hey Bart, how you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
Very good.
Nice to see you.
Thanks for having me.
Well, I thought you were fairly new in your position, but turns out you've been at it for 2 years as of today.
Yes,
Happy anniversary.
thank you very much. Thank you. Yeah, 2 years into it, I still consider it a little fairly new, but getting acquainted now to the job and everybody in it and getting the ball rolling with the kids.
What's the idea for a school district to have a strength and conditioning coach and wellness coordinator?
You know, I think it's more towards kids nowadays that play sports have to be bigger, stronger, faster. And yes, it's to enhance their performance, but mainly the main point of it is injury prevention. So if you're not training your body to be in shape, to take on stresses of what the game's gonna bring to you in the weight room or through a speed session, you're just kind of behind the eight ball, and I think you see a lot of injuries happen that way and different things. So I think a lot of high schools are now adopting this format of bringing in strength and conditioning professionals to allow them to train their athletes to prepare them for sport, instead of saying, hey, you got to go pay a guy in the private sector, $100 a session or $150 a session. Most of us just don't have that to pay for a high school kid year round. So if the school can combat that by hiring a professional, creating a weight room, and having a program, it helps out a ton.
And families were doing that.
Oh yeah, so previous to this position, I did it in the private sector. I worked downtown here at the 517 Powerhouse Gym for a while, and then I moved to Detroit, Northville area, and yeah, in Northville we were charging $150, $200 a session for one-on-ones. If it was a group program, you were looking at like $300 a month to train a kid 3 to 4 days a week. So if a school can offset that for parents and have them in-house, so you know exactly what they're going through, if the coach has a good communication with that person, rather than having to reach out to 15 to 20 other individuals, depending on who's training athletes, you have one person kind of overseeing everything. Just makes for the process to be a lot smoother, safer, and more viable that way.
When you think of school weight room, you think of the football players, throwers, wrestlers, but really any athlete, all athletes can benefit from what you do.
Yeah, this is for all athletes. Every sport, you need speed, you need to stay safe, and you need to be able to be mobile. And that's really what we work on with high school athletes. I think a lot of times when you think of strength and conditioning, people automatically go to like the college weight room of the football teams and look at, Michigan, Georgia, all these big dudes that are like 6'5", 300 pounds, moving 300, 400 pounds around. It's like, this is for everybody. Every sport needs to have some development of athleticism and injury prevention, and you can do that in the weight room through that system. So it is for everybody.
Yeah, and you are an athlete, and you were an athlete in high school.
Yep.
In fact, you played football at Lumen Christi.
I did, yes.
So what's the secret ingredient in Lumen Christi's football success?
Oh, they're committed, and that's what we're bringing to Northwest. We're committed about it. We want our kids in the weight room. We want them lifting with us. If we want to be successful, this is what it takes. And I think over the last 2 years, you've seen that. We've created winning seasons there. The kids are buying in. They're in the weight room. We do summer workouts. They're encouraged to take the class year round, and the results kind of speak for themselves that way.
Yeah, I think you look at the sports at Northwest, and you're seeing really in the last couple of years some big changes.
Yeah.
And people are saying, "Well, what happened?"
Yeah, I like to take all the credit, but it's not just me. I mean, our coaches are doing a great job. Our athletic director does a great job, and it's really the kids. I mean, they are putting in the work year round. How it was kind of spoken to me was previous to having this program and me in there, a kid might have the weight room for a trimester, and then you wouldn't see that kid for the rest of the year. They'd have to come after school or before school. Just schedule-wise, it doesn't work out. So now it's built into their schedule. We know that our counselors do a great job getting kids into that weight room. We do have some after-school opportunities, but I mean, I'm seeing 150 to 225 athletes throughout every single day. It just speaks to that type of commitment from our student athletes. They're now seeing success, and it's great success, and we want more of it. So we just got to dig a little deeper and be more committed and do things in the weight room that are improving ourselves.
Is there anything in your programs that is for, say, the trombone player who's not playing sports?
Yeah, I mean, like I said, the weight room's for everybody. Everything you do throughout the day is movement involved, right? I mean, you hear people, I'm going to say older, but us that aren't in high school, you know, you bend up, you pick something up, and you throw your back out. Well, if you lift it a little bit, that might not have happened, right? You're basically laying your body with what we call body armor. You're layering it with armor to prevent injury. So yeah, I mean, we haven't gotten the band in there. We have band members in there that play sports, but it's really for everybody. I encourage all our students to be in there, especially our student athletes, but all our students can benefit this because after they're out of high school, you got to live a healthy lifestyle if you want to sustain success in what you're doing. You got to be healthy.
You know, last week it was the Selby track meet, and there was some discussion. Some athletes chose to not compete in the Selby because they were in the state championship, and there were various reasons. They didn't want to risk injury, or they didn't want to wear themselves out, or they didn't want to. For whatever reason, they didn't want to do both. What's the strategy?
You know, I might look at it a little different. I'm cut from a little bit different cloth than our new athletes are now. I kind of go with the old school approach of like, hey, this is what it takes to be good, and you kind of participate in all that stuff. And that's not to say it's right or wrong. There are things you can do though to prevent that, right? So if you're competing, and track seasons are tough, man, and especially in the weight room, track's probably one of my harder sports because they're having 2 to 3 meets. They might have an invitational. They might have a weekend thing. So it's educating the athlete on, hey, I see you for an hour out of the day. There's 23 other hours. What else are you doing? Are you doing some mobility stuff? Are you eating right? Are you getting enough sleep? Are you getting 8 hours to 10 hours of sleep? Are you hydrating? Are you staying off caffeinated beverages? All that stuff is just a puzzle, and it's just a piece of the puzzle. So educating those kids to make good decisions, I think helps with eliminating some of those things.
Really, 8 to 10 hours of sleep when you're a teenager?
You should be.
Well,
I don't think most of them get
yeah.
it, right? I know, and it's tough, but yeah, if you look at the research, and there's a guy, a former Jacksonian, Todd Anderson, you know, he puts out a bunch of stuff on sleep and stuff. Yeah, at that age, it's really 8 to 10. 6 to 8 you can do. I think 6, you start getting into muddy waters of like, most of us think we can live on 6, but we really can if you look at the research. So yeah, making smart decisions, doing that, having good nutrition, hydrating yourself, getting adequate sleep. They're the fundamentals, and they never change. They've been true and tested through numerous years of stuff. Like we come up with all this mobility stuff and you know, compression sleeves and massage guns, and that's all fine and dandy, but if you don't have the base, all that stuff is kind of worthless at the end of it.
Yeah, that's one thing you see a lot of, the tape.
Yeah, the kinesiology tape.
Yeah.
It's great. It's good stuff. It helps. But again, if you're not doing the fundamentals, you're just adding a Band-Aid to a bigger problem, essentially, is how I look at it.
What age should kids be at before they start lifting?
Well, let's define lifting. Are we talking weights, body weights? I mean, it's a tough question. I usually go with when I ran stuff out of the private sector. At 9 to 10, if you're mature enough to sit through a training session, we can start loading the body. If you think about it, kids are going to school with backpacks that are probably 20 to 30 pounds. So it's no different than taking a 10-pound dumbbell and walking like a farmer's carrier, learning how to squat. They're sitting down into their seats at school with a backpack on. It's the same thing. It's just we think of it differently for some reason. But before that, go have fun. Go play outside. Go do that kind of stuff, because when you get into training, we don't want to burn you out from it. We don't want you to look at it as like a job. We want this to be something that's super fun, enjoyable, exciting. Because I could write the best training program in the world, but if you don't do it at a high intent, it really doesn't matter, right? Yeah. So it's creating that fun kind of atmosphere.
Awesome. Does Coach Newsom keep track of who goes into the weight room in the summer?
Oh, yes. So, you know, he actually texted me today to talk to some of our guys about summer camp coming up, mini camps, and summer training. But yeah, Coach Newsom, he does a very good job. He walks the walk and talks the talk. I mean, he talks about us being in there 5 days a week. He's in there 5 days a week. Every day when I get in 7:30, 7:40. He's in there. He brings his Chromebook and he's writing every name of the kid that's down. And the kids that don't, he follows up. He really does. It's incredible. He's really good at it. But awesome. I think that's why you're seeing a lot of success with that football program, is because he's taken that very seriously, and we're seeing that result of being committed.
Makes sense. Well, great to see you, Corey. Thanks for coming in today.
Thank you very much, Bart.
You bet. Corey McEldowney is strength and conditioning coach and wellness coordinator at Northwest Community Schools. Well, next